Okay. There we go. So
All right.
So it's so stupid. If you type in Google Hangouts on Air and you click the first link on Google, it starts one immediately. However, if you want to make it public, you have to go to a different landing page, which I fortunately bookmarked, that lets you start it and make it public so people can actually go onto the chat and type. And so that link I posted here in Discord is the public chat that people can actually type on now and participate, and they can watch it here. But only the people I invite right here are the ones that are able to actually talk and participate. So anyway, I got that set up finally. So what I'm going to do is just share my. I'm going to record my screen here locally, and then we'll get this show on the road. Okay, record desktop, microphone, perfect. Hey, what's up, Brian? Organize my screens here. Okay. I'm recording. This is good to go. Although it looks like my screen is frozen.
Yeah, I think.
Woohoo! Okay, it's okay. I'm going to share my screen anyway. Let's see if that works. Okay.
Cool.
So what I'm going to do today is actually just get Firebase set up in the app so Pearson can start doing what he needs to do and everyone else. So I'm going to pull open a browser window here. I'm going to go to firebase.com and there we go. Okay. Evan's in the call. And come join us in the chat on that link too. I'm not going to be watching Discord. Okay. So let me log in. Great. Here's my app. Okay, so we've got the app, and what we want to do is set up Xcode to talk to Firebase. So actually what I want to do is Firebase docs, and let's figure out what to do. I've done this like 10 times, but I still forget every single time. We want the guide, installation setup. Okay, so CocoaPods, I already installed that in the CocoaPods, so that's good. So cool. I'm going to open up the Xcode project here. Actually, let's open my terminal. And where are we in the right folder? We are in the right folder, Devslopes app. All right. Okay, I'll make this bigger. And so what I'm going to do is create a new branch before I write any code. In fact, let's make sure, see what branch we're on. Git branch. We're on develop, which we should be. We should never be developing in master. And git status, okay, up to date, which is what I want. So what I'm going to do is git checkout -b, and let's call this Firebase setup. We are now in the Firebase setup branch. All new things I'm doing are going to be in this branch, and this is the branch I'll put up for a pull request. So that is good. I just need to open the actual project now in Xcode. So let's do that. Sorry if my mouse is noisy. It drives me insane. I keep buying these really expensive Logitech wireless mouses, and every single, I don't know why I keep doing it, because they only last a year, even though it's like has a 6-year battery life and all this stuff. And then after a year, they just break and they just stop working.
The battery life outlives the mouse.
Yeah, so leave it to Magic Mouse to save the day, I guess. Okay, Devslopes app. All right, actually, do I have the workspace open? Oh, you know what? I don't. I'm going to have to open that folder up here. Let's go to my desktop, my messy desktop, clean up by kind, and Devslopes app. There we go. And I better run pod install just to make sure that we've got everything that we need, because I know I put Firebase in there. Or it can do nothing. Wow, it's going real slow. There we go. Sure enough. I guess it wasn't in this branch. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so pod is installed. That's right. When you create a new branch, it's always good to run pod install. That makes sense. So I need to open up the workspace now, and now I should be good to go. In fact, I'm just going to Command B to build this to make sure it works right out of the box. And I think it's going to. So let's open up Firebase here. Manage some windows. Okay, so you can start using your Firebase in your Swift class by simply importing Firebase, which is great. So what I want to do is I want to create a singleton class for our data service. So all of the Firebase functions that we need are going to be in there. And actually, with Firebase, everything is based on URLs. So when you have a specific data set you want, unlike an API where it has actually more like an API, it's a specific URL that goes right to that data path. So what I like to do is have my URLs in one singleton and my actual services in another singleton. And I'll show you what I mean here. So I'm going to create a new group here. We're going to call this model layer. I'm going to create a new group again and call this services. Okay. And let's just do a quick Google online for a Swift singleton. This is where everyone learns that I'm not as smart as they think I am, because I Google everything. Okay, so it's as simple as creating a static class, like so. So let's do that now. Let's go to Model, New File. I suck at memorization. I mean, I know where to find all the things, but actually the coding memorization.
Oh, dude, me too. Or just my memory, just in general, is just flat.
Yeah. Swift file's fine. And let's call this, we're going to call this, what do we want? That's the model layer. Even though it's a data service, I'm just still going to call it a service. Oh, we need a class prefix. That's right. DA data. I'm just going to call this not data service, data model. DA data model. And I will want to put some tests on this. I'm not going to write any tests right now. I'm going to include it in the test model there. So, okay. So all we need to do here is, like it said here, import Firebase. So import Firebase. And then we just need to, hey, don't yell at me. What are you doing? No, whatever. You'll work in just a second. I know you will. Don't give me any crap. Stop it. All right, let's just make sure we got our Firebase. What? Hold on here. Pods, Firebase. No, you're right there. Come on, man. Don't be like this. Clean. Build. All right, no such module Firebase. Why are you giving me grief? That's what I want to know. Pod file, Firebase. Actually, where is the error happening in? No such module Firebase. Oh, come on. Did I miss a step here? No. Pod install. Pod init. All right, come on. I think it's just buggy too. I have had this happen before. I'm just going to close Xcode real quick and try that again. Had it happen before, and it sometimes happens when you've got because Firebase is written in Objective-C, and so sometimes it happens when. All right, let's go take a look at this stupid thing here. In fact, we can just do a quick Google search here. No such module Firebase. Da 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 da. Blah da 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 da. One way to solve your issue is go in your build settings and defining the framework search path to a folder which contains the frameworks in question. All right, so let's go take a look at that here. Let's go to our build settings, search. Okay, this is linking search paths. All right, we've got pod/Firebase. Okay, pods header public. All right, and So if we want it to be recursive, we can, well, it's already here. Subdirectives to exclude. Framework search paths. There's nothing in here right now, so let's just add that here and see what happens. Clean it and build it, and it still fails. Wow. We're off to a great start here. Okay. All right, framework using search paths. Your framework name worked well for me. Come on, come on, come on. You know what? Let's try one more thing. Let's try no such Cocoa pods, no such module. Blah, 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 blah. Not with REST-kit. Okay. Target build phases. Link with, I had misplaced pods framework. After removing it, the problem went away. Why is that even there in the first place? Let's take a look and make sure ours is not there. Get rid of my, let's get rid of this for now. Actually, I wanted this to be recursive. Let's try that. Command-Shift-K to clean and Command-B to build. All right. Yeah, whatever. Good old Cocoa pods. I pretty much every time, for the most part, every time I install Cocoa pods in a project for the first time, there's always some type of stupid thing that has a problem. All right. So lib pods. Okay. Ours is not there. I've noticed people have experienced similar problems. Project info configurations. Come on, man. Oh, we're gonna figure this out.
You're not going anywhere, error.
What's that?
Or are you?
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Let's try this one. Okay. Yeah, I don't need that here. I need Cocoa pods. No such module, and I use Cocoa pods. I'm not a pro, blah, 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 blah. Oh, come on. Is there module not being detected? All right, this is not being helpful at all. Okay, so I know that we opened the workspace project. What I don't understand is why, I don't understand why we're having these issues here. Okay, so this is all fine here. Let's go look at our pods project here. Build settings, build phases, link library, CF network. Wait a minute, I'm not seeing pods on here. That's interesting. Why are my pods not on here? Compile sources. I don't see any pods here. And actually, why are these in here as well? Pods, library search paths, root Firebase. Okay, these should all be here. Create a new project. No, I'm not going to create a new project. This should be working. Firebase headers public. Okay. When I build a project, of course, it fails. Really? Data model, import Firebase. Did I type it? I typed it correctly, I believe. I'm sure. Pod install, import Firebase. Okay. My pod file. This all looks good to me. Let's. That looks great to me. What the heck? Uncomment this line. Oh, duh. Stupid.
Oh.
Stupid me. Duh. All right, hold on. Let me close out of Xcode here. Let me run pod install again. Always something, right? Like something stupid. Okay, let's try this again. So go find our project, open it up here. Okay. Okay. Command B to build. Moment of truth.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So the problem was I didn't uncomment the use frameworks because we're using Swift. So there you have it. And now when you have that same problem, you know what to do. All right, so what we were going to do is we were just going to create a simple singleton like so. And so this one was going to be called DA data model Okay, and this is cool, being able to find all the stuff on the internet. It's just a static version of it, and then you instantiate it like so. So static let, we're just going to call this, I'm just going to call this instance equals DA data model. Like so, and do I capitalize it? What's the convention? Nah, let's keep it lowercase. All right, so there's our singleton. Simple enough. It looks good to me. And so this is going to hold our URLs for our Firebase, which is fine. And so what we need to do is say let, and let's say Firebase URL base. Let's go find that base URL here in Firebase. So the base URL is going to be the address of your thing here. So copy link address here in Firebase. And in this case, this is what it is, although we don't need this. Okay. This is the base URL. Looks good to me. We'll take off the trailing slash here, and we'll start all of our other URLs with the trailing slash. Okay. And let's just take a look at authentication. I want to make sure that we're doing that correctly with the, let's see, login and auth tab. Okay, so you pass in your Firebase URL. Okay, and then, okay, so this is auth, login. Okay, so I don't need to worry about this right now because Pearson will be doing this part. So what I've done here, though, is I've created this Firebase URL that he'll be able to use in his class. So I'm in my services here. I'm going to create a new file, and we're going to call this one DA data service. Okay, and we'll create tests for that too later. And what we're going to do here is import Firebase, and this will be class, and we're going to call this DA data service. And static let, we want to create a singleton here. So this is going to be, I'm going to call it instance equals DA data service. And we're going to instantiate it there like so. And so what we want to do is have authentication. And so let's think about this here for a second, because he needs to do GitHub and he needs to do Facebook. So let's look at GitHub auth Firebase. I don't know where the docs are. Okay, so login users in. Okay, and then you just put in the type here, which is fine. So auth with OAuth pop-up. Okay, and I'm curious now, Firebase Facebook login. So Firebase Facebook login, that one here, and see what that one's like. So these are both the OAuth pop-up. So what's interesting here is there is actually it's the exact same call in both of them. So all we need to do actually is pass in this right here, and it should give us everything that we need. So what we can do here, and hopefully Pearson's not done this already because I told him not to, we'll just create a function that allows us to do this here in our service. And so what would we want to call this? Let's just call this, well, let me just check one more thing, the email login. So Firebase email login. Okay, and let's just make sure, see how it works with that one. So this one will be different, it looks like. Yeah, auth with password. So so what we can do here is we can call this one, so public func, we'll call this, what do we want to call this? Social login, loking, social login. Okay, and how about we do like a simple little enum here, Swift enum with some different options. I can never remember the syntax. I'm always working in different programming languages here. Okay, so let's just do an enum like so, public. Oh, it's public by default. We don't need that. I've been doing some C# stuff lately, and just my brain. Okay, so we do want an enum here, and we can just put it here actually. We'll call this one social type or social login type. And what's the syntax here? It's just curly braces, right? Or let's say Facebook equals Facebook. I believe that's how Firebase wants it. And we're going to say GitHub equals GitHub. Let's see if that doesn't throw any errors, which it does. What did I do wrong here, guys? Enum planet. Oh, it needs to be of type string, I believe, right? Like that. Oh, come on. Help me out here, guys. I'm struggling. Oh, I need to have the case in front of it. Is that what's going on? Does that mean we take off the commas, keep the commas? Can't remember. Take off the commas. Okay. How about that one? All right. Okay. So we've got our auth there. So what I'm going to do is for social login, we're going to say type, and this is going to be of type social login type. And that makes it easy. And so we know with the Facebook authentication, it's the word Facebook, and the GitHub is the word GitHub, which is great. And so maybe I'll just code this up, even though this is Pearson's job here. I need something to do. So ref is new Firebase ref, so it needs the ref so it can actually do the pop-up here. So this one's easy enough. All we have to do is say DA data model dot instance dot Firebase URL base. No, let's just assume that these are all Firebase URLs. That's too long. I'm going to go back here and take off the word Firebase. And we're just going to call this URL base. FB. Okay, FB. How about Fire? I'm going to do that one. Just make it shorter. Fire URL base. In case I ever have to incorporate my own server with its own URL. I don't want it to be confusing. So Fire URL base. Okay, and what was the command? It was dot auth with OAuth pop-up. Okay, so dot. That's the reference, right? Oh, you know what? I'm stupid. That's just the string URL. That's not what we want. We actually want to create a reference here. Let me fix my screens here for a second. Okay, we want to actually create the reference, Firebase reference, not just have a static URL here. So I'm going to Command X this, and this one's actually going to be new Firebase, like so. Come on. Equals, oh, hold on here. Left Firebase. I don't think it's going to let me do it here in the header. We're going to need to do it. Wait, what is going on? Multiple declarations. Oh, wait a minute. This is JavaScript. Duh. I'm looking at the JavaScript documentation. Okay, there we go. Firebase URL. That looks good to me, although it is still yelling at me. Ah, okay. There we go. All right. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Good job. Good job, me. Okay, this is what we want to do now. Now that it's actually a Firebase ref, we want to say auth with OAuth provider and okay, with completion block. This is what we want, I believe. With string, NS object with completion block. What's the difference? One that has a token, one has parameters. Parameters. Let's see if there's a iOS documentation. I don't want to spend time converting this. So I'm going to go back and let's go back to the iOS guide here. iOS Firebase docs. And, oh, where's my, all right. Okay, guide. I want authentication. Okay, we want GitHub. And there we go. There's the Swift documentation for it. I was looking at JavaScript. All right, this will make it easier because now all you have to do is copy and paste. Okay, so auth. Hold on. This is the one that has the token. And what's the access token? Access token. So, Okay, register the application. I've already done that. I've already got the secret. Once you've enabled GitHub authentication, you can take advantage of security and Firebase rules to protect your data. To log a user in Firebase, you'll need GitHub OAuth access token. Once you have the token, well, where do I get the token? What? Where do I get the token? Access token, GitHub OAuth. GitHub, what? GitHub OAuth access token. Where do I get that token? For basic tokens, okay, you may create a personal access token for your own use or implement this web flow below to allow other users to authorize your application. Okay, so redirect users here. What in the world? I shouldn't have to do anything else here. Access token, auth provider. How do I get the access token with Firebase? Access token. Oh, wait, does that happen? No? Anyone have any ideas? Access token, a new GitHub application. I wonder what Facebook expects from us here. So Facebook. Okay, let's go to Swift. Facebook login is actually different here. Oh, you know what? This isn't going to work the way I want it to work. Well, actually, it is. Okay. So auth with OAuth provider, Facebook token, access token. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so what we need to do is actually implement the probably a GitHub SDK. Let's see if they have one. GitHub iOS SDK. GitHub auth iOS SDK. Doesn't help that GitHub is the place where it has bajillion libraries. So I'm going to pass on this, leave this one to Pearson because it's going to be more complicated than I thought. Because what's going to have to happen actually is you're first going to have to log in through GitHub's OAuth HTTPS API here, and then that's what you store in Firebase. So we're not going to do that because I don't want to spend the time to do that. So I'm going to leave this as a kind of a framework shell for Pearson here, social login, because what we do know is at some point here that there is a, you do have to do the auth with OAuth pop-up. Well, this is JavaScript documentation. If you're working with Firebase, make sure you have the right documentation. Okay, here at some point, it's going to be the exact same, except you store the token that you receive from authentication. So here's how it works. In fact, I'll make these notes for Pearson here in the code as he's doing this. How auth works. Okay. Come on. Really? Probably a command for this, and you guys are like, this guy's an idiot. Okay, so how auth works. Okay. First, incorporate Facebook SDK and use SDK to log in. On completion of login, store Facebook's access token into the Firebase, using ref.auth with OAuth provider. Okay, and then you pass in the access token and store it. See, I'll put the docs in here too. See docs. Okay. For GitHub, log into GitHub via their HTTP API or use their SDK if they have one. I didn't see one. Then on completion, store the access token from GitHub in the same Firebase auth call. Okay, woo, that was a lot. That's okay. So, okay, so there we go. This should be enough information for Pearson here. What I do want to do, one more thing, is I want to create a callback closure in Swift, so we can do on failure, on error. And I of course cannot remember for the life of me how to do that, how to make closures. It just eludes me. So I will look it up. Docs. There we go. Okay. Social login. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. So, okay, 3 viewers. This is exciting. I didn't send out an email though. I didn't have time. It takes a bit to get it out. So, okay. So what I want to do now is just create a closure, and then we'll probably call this one done. So, Swift closures. Can never remember for the life of me. This you may watch me looking like an idiot here, but this is how you develop. You guys are like gonna be watching me like, I thought he was so smart. I watched all these videos and he just did it perfectly well. Now you're watching me code in real time. All right, closures. What I want to do is create a reusable closure. Has a function of type, passing and returning functions. Oh, come on. Give me. This is I don't know how you guys can stand this dark syntax when you're coding. It just kills me. It looks like a chalkboard. Okay. Jedi read. This is a function return. Yeah, it's returning a closure. Function types. Okay, so we do want ours to be a function, and as a function of function type of int and int. So we pass in 2 ints. That makes sense. And our function is going to pass in nothing here. Let's see. So what we want to do, what we're trying to accomplish here is when we don't want to handle our authentication, we don't want to handle it all here in our, we don't want to handle it here in the block itself, because if we do, it just makes it a little bit harder to get access to those errors and problems. We want to, in essence, we want to have callbacks that whoever calls this can listen to see if it was successful or not, because we don't want to handle is very much logic here in the service layer. And so this completion block is their closure that they created here. And in fact, what we can do is we can actually look at that here. Maybe that'll help me figure out how to do this, because I can never remember. So let's say data or DA data model dot instance dot fire URL base dot auth with OAuth provider, the one with the token here. And let's just put a string in here and a string in here. Let's pretend that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And let's see here. Error. Oh, interesting. This one's changed a little bit. So there's a couple of different ways of doing this. Just error, type in as error, data, auth data. Let me build this Command S, Command V to make sure it's still working. All right, so it is working. And so let's look. This is a callback that they have. We want to build one similarly that passes in a function. Okay, so passes in an error, passes in data. And I kind of want to just create an on success or on failure callback, and Pearson can modify it as he desires. I just want to get it started here. So closures, hey, closure expression, closures. I'm just looking for what I'm looking for. Names, sort. I don't want sorting, trailing closure. I just want to call back closure. I did this recently. What did I do it in? You know what? I did it in my Objective-C code. That was a block and the syntax was different. All right, this is the worst. Closures. Okay, so we got a function sum, and it's returning result. It's returning an int, and then it does something inside of it. Return x. Okay, so this one returns. That's interesting that it would do it this way, which is it just gives it a name parameter here. Okay, let's give it a shot. Okay, we're gonna do it up here. We're going to do it right here. And let's just give it a shot here. So I'm going to say let and on success. Okay. Let on success and on a successful, what do we want to do? We want to pass in something on success. We don't need to return anything. So on success, we want to pass in, how about an error message, an actual readable error message? What we can do is we can handle the server's error message here, but we want to pass a user readable error message here. So error message of type string, and of course we want it optional because well, let's see, we could do an on success and on failure, or just do one. Let's just call this on complete actually, and then we can handle both cases. So on complete, and then we've got success, and then for data, what else would we have? So we have an error. Otherwise, yeah, this could be generic. We can change it later. So data, and this would be a type any object. It can also be nil, optional, like so. So let incomplete. Okay, there's my. Let's see. I guess maybe it wants the func keyword, and it's going to return. It's going to return nothing. Yeah, and then we can do that. What do you think? Will it work? Oh, what did I do wrong here? Expected pattern. I guess you can put a function there globally. Let's see if it, well, I need it globally. Let's just take off the func keyword. Can I just make this a closure? Still doesn't like that. On complete. How do we want to do this? Does it even, how about break-in closure syntax? All right. Let's do some Stack Overflow here. Swift closure syntax. Luckily, I don't have to feel too dumb. I don't know one developer who has closure and block syntax memorized. So every developer I know must be dumb like me then. Writing completion blocks and closures in Swift. Okay, so this is Swift. Objective-C, yeah, I know that. But how do you create the closure itself? All right, so parameters, return type, expression and statements. Okay, so how do we write one of these? That's what I care about right now. Okay, so function search users with search term, it takes a completion closure. Okay, and this completion closure is here. Do something awesome, regular closure, inside our closure. Yeah, but where are they defining the closure? That's what I care about. Completion, yeah. These are like inline ones. Okay, these are like inline functions here. So completion, let's try that. So on complete is what I want to call it. And maybe what it needs is this here. So it takes parameters first, and then return type is going to be nothing. I don't want to return anything. I just want you to work. Return type is nothing. Completion. That's my parameters. All right, we're still not quite there yet. Does not like that. So on complete equals return type nothing. No, it's still not going to work for me. Return type and expression statements. So parameters, I got the parameters. Okay, what we pass in, I don't want to return anything, which is fine. And then, wow, really? Is that how it's going to be? Completion closure. That's a user. All right, let's It's right there, completion closure. There's the parameters, which is fine. Returning nothing, which is fine. These ones are in a parenthesis like so. It just does not like that at all. I will figure this out here. Let's see. How to create a callback closure in Swift. Oh, completion handlers is what I want to make. And that's objective C. We finished. Yay. Declaring then. Yeah, okay. So handle. Oh, wait a minute. So is that all? So on complete, do I just actually make it into a function like so? On complete, and this is interesting. Okay. So no, that's not syntax here. If I can do this inside the class, if it'll let me. Minute, hold on. Okay, so that's just a function though, on complete, but that's not what we want exactly. Commands, got back result. Oh man, I've written these like 10 times. Why can't I remember how to do this? Completion is result string void. Completion is result string and void. That's what I want. I want completion handler. Well, let's just try building it inside our actual function callback here. Social login, completion, and let's just do it like they have it here. So error message is one that we want, type string. And then we have another one, which is data. This is going to be of type any object. Okay, so we've got that. And this one's going to return nothing. So in this case, they said void. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this is definitely the completion that we want. But I was hoping that I could store this in a variable so we can reuse it over and over again, which is actually what I really want to do. So let's try that. So let's see if I can put that in a variable now. Let completion equals. Okay, so that's not working, but let's see if we put parentheses around it. If that'll work. Still not working, but I need to figure out how to store this bad boy. Variable, because I cannot remember. The object completion. How about this? Create Swift closure variable. That's what I want to do. Declare. Okay, as a variable. Thank you. So just need to be var. Okay, I see. So no, we're not doing an equals, and the return type is void. This looks fine, but why is it still yelling at me? We're almost there, I think. Global var. Okay, let's try a let. Will let work? Okay, an initializer expression. Okay, that's right. So, because it's not being initialized as an optional. Actually, type alias is really what I'm looking for here, so it can be used everywhere. Let's try that one. Type alias completion, and then the equal sign. Is really what I want. Is it gonna work? Woohoo! All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is what I actually wanted. And then what we can do is get rid of this inline closure, and completion can just be of type completion. And we can also make that optional in case somebody doesn't want to make it a completion block. And now, if you're wondering how it works, now that I've actually done it, when we go into our view controller, for instance, just run a test here. We can say DA data service dot instance dot social login, and we'll say DA data. Hey, DA data. DA. Okay, is it just publicly available? What was the name of this dumb thing? Social login type. Can I just say social? Let me DA. Come on, autocomplete. DA data service dot instance dot log social. Oh, what the heck, man? Does this need to be public? Come on. Why is this struggling to find this? Data service social login type. It should work just fine. Why is this? Why am I not finding it here? What am I doing wrong? DA data service instance dot. Let's see if it's an autocomplete problem. Type dot Facebook. There's our completion handler. Although something's wrong with our enum here. Can that be used on instance of type DA data service? Does it need to be? Cannot be used. Why can my enum not be used? That is the real question. Type social login type. Can I just put .facebook? Will that work? Let's go back to our view controller and try that. See if we can just do .facebook. And that worked. Okay, so now this is making more sense, right? So we've got our social login. You can pick Facebook or GitHub, and it would do its thing, and then it would return here an error message where you could do an alert and show that error message, or if there was data, you could show the data. So we could say if error message or if let error equals error message of type string. So error message is okay. Holy smokes! My brain just went out. Casting as. All right. All right. There we go. Error message. Why would we need to unwrap it? We're just. Well, I guess it already knows it's a string. Actually, my bad. I did this wrong. What we actually need to do is, if error message is not equal to nil, show alert to user with error message. Else use data if there is any data. Okay, so I think this is pretty good here. We've got our data model. This is where we put all of our URLs where we're going to store for Firebase, and this is going to be the data service where we actually run functions. So this is where you log in, or this is where you maybe say you've watched a video in the app, you've completed it, we post it to the server. We're going to do all of our services to do functions or perform operations here. We don't want it in our view controllers be like manipulating data as much as possible. We don't want to be doing that. Although in Firebase, we do usually listen for the data directly in the view controller because that's the way Firebase is built. But as far as manipulating things, we're going to do it here from this service. And I think we're set up here. Anyone have any questions? I think I'm going to post this one up to GitHub in its own branch. Yeah. I like it. Completion, do I really want to put this here? This is kind of public. It could be used anywhere, like in any class because it's public. This might make more sense in a constants file, actually. So let's do that. Let's create a new group here. We're going to call this util for utilities. I make a new file in that folder, an empty Swift file, and we're going to call this constants, this global constants for the whole program. And anytime that you want to create a type alias or have something public for everything can use, we're going to put it there in the constants. So, and if I build this, we shouldn't have any errors. It should still work. I just moved it around. All right, that makes more sense. So we can find it rather than it being scattered around in some class. So, Okay, so that looks good. So what I'm going to do now, let's go to my terminal, get status. We changed a lot. It's all fine. Program's running still. So git add -a, git commit -m, incorporated Firebase, set up singletons for data model and data service, wrote example call in view controller. All right, so we are on, which branch did I call it? We're on the Firebase setup. So I'm going to type in git push origin because that's the name of our remote. And we're going to say Firebase setup. What I'm going to do is push this branch that I made up here to the remote. And that is now pushed. And then what I'm going to do is go on to Bitbucket. And there we go. And if you hear banging up, that's my kids running upstairs. Sound like a bunch of wild savages. Okay, Devslopes iOS app. And if we go look at our branches, we should see my branch here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pull request on my branch. Let's just click it and make sure everything looks good here. So added CocoaPods and Firebase. That was one commit I did the other day. And then here's my changes I made just now. They're all right here. And that's not my stuff. That's just CocoaPod stuff. Here's the actual code I wrote. There it is. So that looks good. So what I'm going to do on my branch here is I'm going to click this and click create pull requests. And we want it to go not into master, but in develop. So we want to take my branch and merge it here. After what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the team have a chance to look at the code that I wrote and see what they think about it. That looks good. We will close the branch after it's remerged here. Okay. And now the pull request is created. So now it's Jack's and Pearson's job to go through here and make comments, and Evan's if you want to. You're a developer. I should always include you're a developer. So you're free reign to do whatever you want. You're part of the team. And okay, and so all you have to do now really is when you go see code that you want, you can make a comment here, and you could say, hey, I can just put an explanation here, but I could say this is instructions, or this bad language. These are instructions for Pearson to help you out. Delete comments when you are done. Anyway, you usually don't make your own explanations. The thought is if your code is clean enough, you should never have to write an explanation in your pull request of what you did. It should be readable in and of itself. But I was just showing an example here of a comment you can make. And then I could create a task. So like, for instance, if one of these things were wrong here and Pearson was like, this isn't the right way to do it, I'm like, oh yeah. And then so he could create a task, say, fix this. And then I would go in and I'd fix it, make the task, and I'd re-push it up there. So cool, there's my pull request. And when they approve it, then I'll merge it in, and then they can pull it down into their repos here. So that's it. That's our setup for today. What do you think, Evan? Learn anything? Anything new?
That was unreal. Learned a lot, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
I was so afraid to touch it. I wanted to look at the code, but I was like, I don't want to accidentally delete something, break a branch, off a tree.
Yeah. Oh, I remember I really felt like literally until about a year and a half ago, I felt like I was continually learning so much. And then when a year and a half came, not to say I'm an expert, but I really felt confident, like where I believed in myself, as a developer. I mean, there's still people who can run circles around me with algorithms and data structures. I'm weaker in those areas, but at least I can, someone could come up and call me an idiot and I suck at coding, and I wouldn't believe them. I would say, you know what, I've been doing this long enough now, I actually have confidence.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's so funny because that for the past 4 or 5 months, that's exactly how I do everything. I see some error, and I open 5 Chrome tabs and just copy paste.
Oh, That's what I do at least. So, all right, I'm gonna end this one, Evan, and I'll put up the recording. So,
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
see ya.
All right, see you, man.